Toto Wolff just revealed the flaw Mercedes hoped would stay hidden before Austria. And it is not a lack of speed. It is not a weak car. It is not even pressure from Ferrari. It is something far more dangerous, because it can destroy a perfect race without warning. Mercedes has already lost 43 points to reliability, more than any other top team in the source report. George Russell was leading in Canada when his power unit suffered a catastrophic battery failure. Kimi Antonelli was running second in Barcelona when his car simply switched off. And McLaren, using Mercedes power, has already been hit by battery trouble too. That is not bad luck anymore. That is a pattern. And now Wolff is admitting Mercedes cannot fight for a championship if cars keep losing massive points every other race. But the scariest part is what James Allison revealed next. The failures are different, but they appear to come from the same general area of the battery. The engine is fast. The championship lead is real. But the flaw is hiding inside the system that gives Mercedes its power. And before the Austrian Grand Prix, one question could change the entire season. Has Mercedes actually fixed the problem, or is Lewis Hamilton about to inherit the title fight from a car that keeps destroying itself? Subscribe to the channel. Mercedes should be arriving in Austria like a team with control of the season. That is what makes this situation so dangerous. Because when people look at the championship, the first reaction is simple. Mercedes is still ahead. Kimi Antonelli is still leading the Drivers' Championship. George Russell is still close enough to matter. The Constructors' lead is still there. And the car has already shown it can be brutally fast when everything works. But that is the phrase that changes the whole story. When everything works. Because Formula One does not reward a car for being fast for half a race. It does not reward a car for looking dominant before the failure comes. It does not care how strong the pace was, how clean the strategy looked, or how many points were almost secured. The only thing that matters is what survives at the end. And right now, Mercedes has created one of the most uncomfortable contradictions in the paddock. They may have the fastest package, but they may not have the safest one. That is the nightmare before the Austrian Grand Prix. A slow car gives a team a painful but clear target. Find lap time. Add downforce. Improve traction. Fix the balance. Bring upgrades. Chase the teams ahead. But a fast car with a hidden reliability flaw is different. It gives you hope and fear at the same time. It lets your driver lead a race, then disappears before the points are collected. It lets your championship leader run near the front, then switches off with the finish almost in sight. It gives your rivals the one thing they should never be allowed to feel: belief. That is exactly what Mercedes handed to the rest of the grid after Canada and Barcelona. In Canada, George Russell was leading. Not fighting for scraps. Not trying to save a damaged weekend. Leading. The race was alive in his hands, and then the Mercedes power unit suffered a catastrophic battery failure. The car stopped giving him the chance to finish the job. That kind of retirement cuts deeper than a normal bad result. Because Russell did not lose because another driver beat him on track. He did not lose because the strategy fell apart. He did not lose because he made the kind of mistake that can be owned, studied, and corrected. He lost because the machine underneath him failed. And for a driver, that changes the relationship with the car. A Formula One driver needs absolute trust. Not casual trust. Not hopeful trust. Absolute trust. When he brakes late, he needs to believe the car will respond. When he attacks a corner, he needs to believe the power will arrive. When he is leading a Grand Prix, he needs to believe the car will not suddenly take the victory away from him. After Canada, Russell had a reason to wonder. Then Barcelona made sure the entire Mercedes garage had to wonder too. Kimi Antonelli was running second late in the race. His championship lead was still protected. The points were almost secured. The hardest part of the afternoon was almost over. And then the car simply switched off. That is one of the most frightening phrases in racing. The car switched off. It sounds almost too simple for something so damaging. No dramatic explanation. No complex tactical story. No long battle that slowly slipped away. Just a sudden electrical shutdown, and a championship leader losing points that should have been his. That is why Wolff's reaction matters. He did not frame it like bad luck. He did not pretend the pattern was harmless. He said Mercedes cannot compete for a championship if every second race a car is losing fat points. That line is brutal because it admits something most teams try to hide for as long as possible. Mercedes is no longer dealing with an isolated incident. They are dealing with a threat to the title campaign. And the numbers make it worse. The source report says Mercedes has lost 43 points to reliability, more than any other top team listed. 43 points is not a small detail. 43 points can change how aggressive a team feels, how safe a championship lead looks, and how much pressure lands on every driver briefing. It means Mercedes should be further ahead. Antonelli should have more breathing room. Russell should have more reward for his pace. The constructors' lead should feel stronger. Instead, Mercedes is still leading, but the lead feels more nervous than it should. That is a very dangerous place to be. Because the championship table can lie without saying anything false. It can show Mercedes ahead, while hiding how much stronger they could have been. It can show Antonelli leading, while hiding the points that vanished. It can show Russell still in the fight, while hiding the win that slipped away when the car failed. And it can show Ferrari chasing, while hiding the most important part. Ferrari may not need to be faster every weekend. They may only need to be there when Mercedes brakes. That is why Lewis Hamilton suddenly matters so much. Hamilton has completed every lap without a mechanical problem, according to the source report. 0 reliability points lost. While Mercedes has been bleeding points through failures, Hamilton has been collecting, building, waiting. That is not boring. That is terrifying for Mercedes. Because Hamilton does not need chaos to look dramatic. He needs consistency. He needs the car to finish. He needs Ferrari to keep putting him in position. And when a rival at the front is unreliable, that consistency becomes a weapon. A championship is not always stolen in one spectacular moment. Sometimes it is taken quietly, one finished race at a time, while the other team keeps explaining what went wrong. And Wolff knows this better than anyone. He knows Hamilton's instincts. He knows how dangerous Hamilton becomes once he feels a title fight opening. He knows that if Mercedes leaves even the smallest crack, Hamilton will not politely wait outside. He will attack it. That is why Austria feels like more than the next race. It feels like the first major test of whether Mercedes can stop the bleeding before the season changes shape. Because the Red Bull ring will not give them a calm laboratory. It is short, fast, sharp, and unforgiving. Small mistakes become visible quickly. Track position matters. Starts matter. Traffic matters. And every time a Mercedes has to fight harder than planned, the pressure on the car becomes harder to ignore. That connects directly to another problem Wolff has already criticized. The starts. Mercedes has not been happy with how both drivers have launched in previous races. And on the surface, that sounds like a separate issue from engine reliability. But on a race weekend, nothing stays separate for long. A poor start can drop a Mercedes into dirty air. Dirty air can make cooling harder. Extra battles can create extra stress. Extra stress can make every electrical warning feel more dangerous. And if the battery system is already the area everyone is watching, the last thing Mercedes wants is a messy race where both cars are forced to attack, defend, and recover from positions they should never have lost. They need clean execution, clean starts, clean air, clean strategy, clean power unit behavior. But clean weekends are hard to find when every rival knows you have a weakness. That is the psychological shift Wolff has now created. By admitting the reliability issue is not good enough, he has made the pressure public. Mercedes can no longer treat each failure as a private technical headache. Every rival will watch them. Every journalist will ask about the battery. Every small hesitation in Austria will be judged through the same lens. Is the flaw still there? That is the question hovering over Mercedes now. Not, are they fast enough? They have already answered that. The question is whether they can trust the speed to last. And that question is poison for a championship team, because it changes every decision. If Antonelli is behind a Ferrari, does Mercedes let him push flat out, or protect the system? If Russell is leading, do they run the car aggressively, or manage temperatures early? If Hamilton is close, do they defend hard, or avoid stressing the power unit? If both Mercedes drivers are near each other, do they let them race, or control the situation before lost time becomes lost points? These are the kinds of questions a dominant team does not want to face. Because the more Mercedes has to think about survival, the less freely it can think about attack. And in Formula One, hesitation is expensive. One delayed strategy call. One conservative engine mode. One cautious defensive move. One driver wondering whether the car will respond the same way it did the lap before. That can be enough. Austria will not only test the Mercedes engine. It will test Mercedes' confidence. And confidence is fragile when the same kind of symptom has already appeared twice at the front of the field. Russell's car shut down from the lead. Antonelli's car shut down while running second. Those are not failures hidden at the edge of the points. Those are failures striking exactly where championships are built. At the front. Under pressure. When the reward is highest. And that is why the real danger is not just mechanical. It is emotional. A team can repair parts. It can build new modules. It can run tests. It can analyze data. But rebuilding trust is slower. It happens when the car completes the next race, then the next one, then the next one, without turning speed into heartbreak. Mercedes needs that sequence now. Not later. Now. Because the calendar is tightening. The races are coming quickly. The source report points to 4 race weekends across 5 weeks, and that kind of schedule punishes unresolved problems. There is less time to breathe, less time to investigate, less time to bring changes, less time to recover from a bad Sunday before the next one begins. A reliability flaw during a relaxed part of the season is a concern. A reliability flaw during a compressed run of races is a threat. And the Austrian Grand Prix is where that threat begins to demand proof. Mercedes can say the right things. Wolff can project control. Allison can explain risk areas. The team can bring updated modules and believe the direction is correct. But none of that scores points by itself. Only the race does. And that is the brutal simplicity of this story. Mercedes has built a car quick enough to lead. But before Austria, Wolff has revealed that the car may still carry a flaw serious enough to make that lead feel unstable. The engine is not failing because Mercedes forgot how to win. It is failing because the modern power unit is being pushed into a brutal new world, where the battery is asked to do more, deliver more, survive more, and tolerate more heat than ever before. That is where the danger lives. Not in a lack of ambition. Not in a lack of talent. But in a system so powerful that one weak area can turn dominance into disaster. And that is why Mercedes cannot treat Austria like just another weekend. They are not only racing Ferrari. They are not only protecting Antonelli's lead. They are not only trying to keep Russell in the fight. They are trying to prove that their own power unit will not betray them again. Because if it does, Hamilton will not need an invitation. He will already be there. But the part that truly changes the Mercedes story is not only that the cars have failed. It is where the failures seem to begin. Because after Canada and Barcelona, Mercedes could no longer explain this as 2 completely separate disasters. The symptoms were too similar. The damage was too expensive. And the timing was too painful. The car did not slowly fade. It did not simply lose pace. It switched off. That phrase is almost frightening because of how final it sounds. A Formula 1 driver can fight oversteer. He can manage tires. He can adjust brake balance. He can protect temperatures. He can save energy. He can change lines, defend harder, attack earlier, and squeeze everything from the car. But when the car switches off, the driver becomes a passenger. The race is taken away. And that is why James Allison's explanation matters so much. He did not say every failure was identical. That is important. Mercedes is not claiming the same exact part has broken in exactly the same way every time. But he did say the difficulties essentially originate in the same general area of the battery. That is the clue. Different failures. Same neighborhood. And in Formula 1, that is often more worrying than one clean broken part. Because a single broken part can be replaced. A bad batch can be removed. A faulty component can be redesigned and checked. But when multiple problems point toward the same area, the fear becomes deeper. Maybe the system is being pushed too hard. Maybe the heat is harder to control than expected. Maybe the electrical load is creating stress in places the team did not fully anticipate. Maybe the flaw is not one loose thread. Maybe it is the fabric itself being stretched too far. That is why the word battery is so important here. To most people, a battery sounds simple. It stores power. It gives power back. When it runs low, you charge it. When it breaks, you replace it. But in a modern Formula 1 power unit, the battery is not simple at all. It is part of the car's heartbeat. It stores energy recovered while the car is braking. It sends that energy back through the system when the driver needs power. It helps the car accelerate. It helps the car defend. It helps the car attack. And under the current rules, it has become far more important than it used to be. The electrical side now has to work harder. Much harder. The source report says electrical deployment has risen to 350 kilowatts, nearly double the previous era. For a casual fan, that number may not mean much at first. But the meaning is simple. The battery is carrying a much heavier job. Imagine a bridge that used to handle small cars, and now suddenly has to handle loaded trucks every few minutes. The bridge might still look strong. It might still pass early checks. It might still work most of the time. But every heavy load tests it again. And if there is one weak point hidden inside, it may only reveal itself under the exact pressure of real use. That is the challenge Mercedes is facing. Not in theory. In races. In Canada, the failure was described as catastrophic. That word matters because it suggests the battery failure was not mild. It did not simply create a tiny performance loss. It triggered the kind of shutdown that ended Russell's race while he was leading.